Question 1. There are 20 coins in a pot. The coins are 1p, 2p, 5p, and 10p. A coin is taken at random from the pot. The probability that it's a 1p coin is 3/10. So the question which I'm going to have to answer is how many of each type of coin there are in the pot. The total value is 57 pence and so on. So if 3 out of 10 are 1p, then the question is how many are there out of 20 that are 1p? So I'm going to use equivalent fractions to do that. So 3 out of 10 is the same as 6 out of 20. So I can just go ahead and write that in straight away. In my answer part, there are 6 1p coins. Now, 2 out of 5 is the same as how many out of 20? Again, I'm going to just use my equivalent fractions. So there are 8 2p coins. So then what I need to do is work out the total value is 57 pence. Well, how much money have I got so far? So guys, it's 1 mark for each of these answers. So it's 8 times by 2 and 6 times by 1. That's how much money I've got so far. 6 1p's is 6p. And 8 2p's is 16p. So far I've got 22p. Now, it says altogether there's 57 pence. So I've got to see how much money I've got to split between the 5 and the 10p's. So 57 take away 22 gives me 35p. Right, I've got 35p, and how many coins have I used up so far? I've used up 8 plus 6, which is 14. So I've got 6 coins, and out of those 6 coins I've got to make 35p. And there's only one way to do that. And that's if I have 5 lots of 5p, which would be 25p, and 1 lot of 10p, which is 10p, because that altogether would give me 35p. So it's 5 5p's and 1 10p. Question 8, the square root of 121. So it's basically what squared is 121? That's what I'm asking myself. Like, which number squared is 121? Answer is 11. You should know, guys, your squares. I think they ask you to know your squares up to 15. Okay, so you should know that 11 times 11 is 121. Now, this is a negative indices, and I'm not sure you guys have covered it yet. But what it is any number to a negative indices is the same as 1 over that number to the positive index. So what I'm saying here is that 4 to the minus 2 is 1 over 4 to the 2, which is 1 over 16. Right, question 8, part B. I've got a big mass situation, brackets, indices, then division, multiplication, then addition, subtraction. Now I do have some brackets, so I'm going to work out what's in the brackets first. Within the brackets, I've got to do the times in first. So I've got a 6 there and a 9 here. 9 take away 6, and then I'm going to square it. So then I'm going to do the bit in the brackets first. So that gives me 3 squared, so my answer is 9. And then part C. Fill this in. 5 to what power is 125? 5 cubed is 125. 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. So 5 cubed is 125. Lillian works 7 hours each day for 5 days a week. She earns £420 each week. How much does she earn per hour? So it's 3 marks, guys, if you got the correct answer, which is 12. And after the students had recovered from their elation, we were able to continue. Okay, so 7 hours a day for 5 days a week. So that's 7 times by, I'm going to say 7 times 35. 7 times 5, which gives me 35. So it's 35 hours in the week that this person is working. And you would get a mark for that. And then if she earns 420, I'm going to just do 420 and I'm going to split it by 35. So you need a bit of bust up division really. 35 goes into 42, once with 7 left over. 35 goes into 70 twice, and that's how I get my answer 12. Okay. Part B. Lillian decides that she's going to work 7 hours each day for only 4 days a week. Her earnings are to be reduced by 20%. Lillian thinks that this reduction is reasonable or fair. Explain why a reduction of 20% is reasonable or fair. Okay, so if you go from 35, okay, and then you work down to 4 days a week, down to 4 times by 7, which is 28, then that's the change that's happened. Now, what is that change? That change is 7 hours out of the 35 hours that you had. 7 out of 35 is the same as a fraction 1 out of 5, right? Because I can divide both top and bottom by 7. So 1/5 is 20%, and that's basically your reason why it's that's why it's a reasonable reduction, because it's a reduction of 7 out of 35, which is the same as a reduction of 1/5, which is the same as a reduction of 20%. How much will Lillian earn working 4 days a week? So it's 4 times by the hourly wage. Now the hourly wage here is 12, but I also need to times it by the 7, okay? Because I'm going to have 4 days working 7 hours a day. That's 28, and I'm going to times that by the hourly wage 12. Now, if you got a different number here, but you still did, so let's say you worked this one out wrongly and you got a different number there, you can still get full marks for this part of the question, just by doing 28 times by whatever the amount is that you got as an answer to part A. So this would be 28 times 12. So if I just quickly do this, I do 28 times 10 is 280. 28 times 2 is 56. So this is 336. Right, rectangle A has length n and width 2. Rectangle C has length 4. Write down the expression for the width. So this whole distance here is 4, and this distance here is n. This distance here is the difference between that 4 and that n. So the difference between 4 and n is just 4 take away n. Right? Think about it. If n was a number instead of being n, if that was like 3, you would know straight away you'd do 4 take away 3. Just think about it like that to be able to work it out with algebra. An algebraic expression for the area of rectangle A. So rectangle A is 2 times by n, or 2n. 2 times by n will also do. Now, part B is the difficult bit. The 3 rectangles all have the same area. Work out the value of n. So what I'm going to say is we've got an expression for the width there, 4 minus n, don't we? And we've got of C. So what's my area of C? Okay, so area of C is 4 times by 4 minus n, which is 16 minus 4n. You get one mark for that bit to work out the area of C. And I know the area of A and B is both 2n. So 2n must be the same as 16 minus 4n. That's the area of C I've just worked out. Once I've got it set up like this, we can solve it and find the answer. 1 mark for getting this set up. Okay. My next bit is I'm going to add 4n to both sides. So this is where we're down to our skill of rearranging and solving equations. 6n equals 16, and then I'm going to divide by 6. n equals 16 over 6, which equals 8 over 3. That is a correct answer. Or you can write 2 and 2/3. 2 and 2/3, or 8 over 3, both will do. Question 11. A Fibonacci sequence, guys, you should know, is where the two previous numbers add together to give the next number. And you can spot that here. So I've got 1 plus 3 gives me 4, 3 plus 4 gives me 7, 4 plus 7 gives me 11, 7 plus 11 would give me 18, and the next one along would be 18 plus 11, which would give me 29. 1 mark for both of those correct. If you didn't get that correct, you need to write down that you need to remember that a Fibonacci sequence is where you have to add the two previous. In a different Fibonacci sequence, the fourth term is 31 and the fifth term is 50. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write out like the term numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We know the fifth one is 50. The fourth one is 31. So I'm going to work backwards. The one before must be 50 take away 31, because that would give me those two things added together to give me 50. So that one has to be 19. Do we see that? Do 50 take away 31, because 19 plus 31 is 50, so 50 take away 31 must give me the 19. Then I'll do 31 take away 19, that's going to give me, this one must be 12. And then I'm going to do 19 take away 12 to give me the first term, which must be 7. 1 mark for any kind of working backwards. 1 mark if you manage to find 19. Another mark for getting 7 as the first one. Now the next bit is with algebra. So basically this just involves not being scared of algebra. Okay? So here you just did what you're going to need to do now. You just did it with numbers. Now we're going to do the same thing but with letters. That's the only difference. So guys, to find the next number in a Fibonacci sequence, I just add the two previous ones. One there is x, the next one's y, the next one's those two things added together. 1 mark for that. The next one after that will be this x plus y and this one plus another y. So that's just x and y, which is the same as x and 2y. If I'm going backwards, well, what did we do when we went backwards with numbers? We just subtracted the two previous ones. So the one here must be y minus x. Question 12. A farmer has a field that is in the shape of a trapezium. As soon as I see that word trapezium, I'm thinking about the area of a trapezium and I'm remembering my key formula, which is that if I have one side and another side and then I've got the length or the width, then it's going to be a plus b over 2 times by the width or whatever. You know, I'm writing down a formula that I might need to use. He measures the field so that he can work out the area. He puts his measurements on the diagram of the field. The farmer has rounded his measurements. Give a reason why he might round. Well, one reason why you might round, which would be a very good reason, is to make calculations easier. Anything like that would be okay. It could be because, what if his measurements weren't very good? Like, you know, because he wasn't sure about his measurements would be another reasonable answer. Right. The field produces 6,400 kilograms of wheat per hectare. 1 hectare is 10,000 meters squared. Work out how many kilograms of wheat the field produces. So, firstly I need to work out the area of the field. The area of the field is 180 plus 220 over 2. This is my formula for the area of a trapezium, which you need to know, times by 150. This gives me 400 over 2 times by 150, which gives me 200 times by 150, which gives me 30,000. Okay, and you're going to get, this is worth 5 marks. So you're going to get 1 mark for knowing and correctly putting in the values for the area of a trapezium. You're going to get another mark for producing this 200 times 150, and another mark for correctly working that out as being 30,000. So, 30,000 meters squared is 3 hectares. Right? Because we've just seen that 1 hectare is 10,000 meters squared. There's going to be another mark right there. And then the last mark is for just doing 3 times by 6,400. So how I would do that, because it's 6,400 kilograms per hectare. I've got 3 hectares, so I'm going to multiply it. So that's 1,000, that's 18,000, 19,200. $19,200 kilograms. That's your last mark. Okay, so we needed area of trapezium, and then the rest of it was some fairly straightforwardish calculations, but with large numbers, so you had to be careful with your calculation. Question 13. The front and side elevations. The front and side elevations of a prism with a pentagon as its cross section. So this is the cross section. Are drawn on this 1 centimeter square grid. Okay. Draw accurately the plan view. So the way this works, guys, is the plan view is the top-down view. There's a side elevation. This would be like the side of the shape, and then there's a front on and there's a sideways on. It's not necessarily clear which way is which here. It doesn't really matter. The plan view is going to be, what will this shape look like from the top? And I'll have to think carefully about it. From the top, it's going to be 4 wide, but 6 long. So it's going to look like this. 4 in one direction and 6 in another direction. Now if you have that the other way around, so it's 6, 1, like portrait as opposed to landscape, that would still be correct. So that's 1 mark, but I've not quite finished that, because have a look at this bit here. You can see that they've done a line where this, you imagine what the shape would look like. If I draw a little 3D sketch of what this shape would look like, it would look something like this. Okay, it would look something like this. So what we're seeing when we're looking down, so from the side we can see that you're seeing this. So this would be my front view. This would be like looking at it from the side, which is this one here, and you can see this line here would be where this kind of where the building changes its, or where the shape changes its pitch. Now if I'm looking down this way at the shape, I can see it's got to be 4 this way and 6 long, and I've got to have a line on it as well, which would be this one here. And that's it for 2 marks. Then I've got part 2. Calculate the volume. So I need the volume of, so for a prism, its cross section, to work out the volume of a prism, its cross section area times by depth. Now my depth is this bit here. So that depth is going to be 6. And then I need the cross-sectional area. Well, let's work out the cross-sectional area by using this bit here. And what I can do is just break this down into a few different shapes. Rectangles and triangles I can work out the area of. And then I can work this out. There's 3 here, right? There's another 3 here. And in here, there's another 3. 3 times 2 divided by 2. Right? Base times height divided by 2. 3 times 2 divided by 2 equals 6 divided by 2. So that's another 3 centimeters squared. So my cross-sectional area is 9 centimeters squared. So to work out the volume, so my volume is going to be 9 times by 6, which is 54 centimeters cubed. Yep.